I am bored to death looking at it.
Yo.
Hey there and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my very first anti-haul. Now on my channel I've kept it pretty positive or pretty straightforward, but I want you guys to get to know me a little bit better, and what better way than to let you know why and what I'm not going to be buying. So I'm just going to be scrolling through Trend Mood and speaking about some things that I definitely will not be buying and why I will not be buying them. I also will be adding at the very end a few products that I'm very, very tempted by, so you might see them in future videos. And if you notice me looking at my phone, it's because I'm looking very specifically at the Trend Mood posts. That way I can talk to you about it. But the first product I want to talk about is actually the Kissa and e.l.f. Cosmetics collab. The reason I'm starting off with this product is because this isn't something I'm actually turned off by. I think it's very beautiful. I think that the eyeshadow palette is something that is very new for e.l.f. and the e.l.f. eyeshadow formula I think is worth it enough to try this out. I already have a rainbow themed palette, so I just don't need another one, especially considering how often I use that first one. So that is going to come down to personal preference, and part of the reason why I'm filming this video is to just help you figure out what you do and do not need to buy. I mean, a lot of times if you really look within your collection, you might already have something that is similar to what it is that you're being advertised. So in this case with the e.l.f. and Kissa collab, it's definitely something I already have in my collection, but if this is something you're looking for, I would recommend picking it up. The next product I want to talk about is the Lunar Beauty Blush Palette. Now, I'll admit it is a very beautiful palette, but my whole thing is, if I'm not going to utilize all of the shades, then at this point, I don't see a point in buying the palette. Things like contour palettes or blush palettes, if it's not all specific to a specific shade range, or at least like two shade ranges that are close, then it's just going to be hard for me to use. Looking at this blush palette, the color that is on the top left is something that I'm just never going to get use out of. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure that a lot of people would get use out of it. But my concern is, if someone is getting use out of the top left shade, are they getting use out of that bottom right shade? Because those shades really speak to me, and those shades will speak to somebody of a deeper skin tone. I'm honestly just at a point where I would prefer that a brand just have at least 2 or 3 or even 4 sets of a palette like this. Just because when you cater to a specific skin tone, you're just more likely to have people buy it. I feel that if this palette only had the 4 shades that are on the right side of the palette, I would be all for it, because it would probably be less expensive, and then it would be all 4 shades that I would definitely use and that are different enough that I would think it's worth purchasing. I've heard nothing but great reviews from the Lunar Beauty formula. I've just yet to see a specific palette or product that speaks to me enough to reach out and purchase it. The next product I want to talk about is this Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet palette. Now, at initial glance, it's definitely not something that's hideous, but it's just definitely not something that is worth it for someone of my skin tone or darker, because so many of these shades are just not going to be worth it for me to use, or I already have them in a palette. And if I'm being totally honest, my Jackie Aina palette has enough purple between these 2 shades to use, you know, if I want to do a really beautiful purple look. And then my ColourPop Super Shock shadow in the shade Daddy that I already have, it's just, I already have enough purple. I just really don't think that the palette as a whole really lends itself to be called an ultraviolet palette, if that makes sense. You just have a bunch of neutrals on the left, and then on the right you have some shades that really have some depth to them, but they have shimmer in them. I feel that if all the purple shades that are right before that black shade were actually matte shades, then this palette would actually speak to me. The next product I want to talk about is the Anasazi Beverly Hills Mini Dewy Set Hydrating Setting Spray. It's going to be $15, and one is pineapple, mango, and then there's the original. First of all, honestly, I didn't feel like the Dewy set did anything miraculous for my skin. I actually bought it and returned it because I don't know, I just felt like it was expensive for what it claimed to do. It just didn't make my makeup look any different. It didn't make it last any longer. It did make it a little bit more dewy, but not any more than any of the other setting sprays that I have. And secondly, for such a small bottle. I think $15 is a lot. I think that these mini setting sprays should have been $10 or less. Just saying. In this case, I feel that if they were just a little bit more affordable, I would be more likely to recommend it or even want to try out by myself. Especially like that pineapple scent. Like that sounds like something I would really like, but considering the fact that it didn't do anything for my makeup specifically and it would just be for the scent, then I'm better off just buying a pineapple scented body mist. Next up is this Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow palette. It's called the Luxury Palette of Mattes in Desert Haze, and it's $53. I'll be honest, it's beautiful. It's tempting, but for $53, you're paying $13.25 a shade. I promise you, even if you don't have these shades in your collection, you can certainly find a combination of these 4 shades that will cost you less than that. And that's what hurts. But at the end of the day, I haven't heard enough about the Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow formula to warrant spending $53 on 4 eyeshadows that are on the warm neutral side. Like I said, it's a beautiful palette. It's definitely right up my alley. It's definitely the type of thing I would wear every day. And in fact, I'm shocked that it caters to the deeper side of things, because usually the deepest shade that's on the bottom left is not something that you would see in a shade that's marketed to everyone. I feel like you would normally see those other 3 shades and then like 1 shade that's lighter, and in that case I would definitely not want it. But this is very tempting, but it is the price that definitely keeps me from wanting to pick this up. The next product I want to talk about is kind of old news, but I did want to mention it in regards to the palette itself. Jeffree Star is definitely not a brand that I would purchase from normally. But when I saw this Cremated palette, the first thing that struck me wasn't the name of it. It was simply the fact that this is not something I would ever be interested in. I mean, when I say boring, like, there is nothing about this palette that interests me. And a lot of people are very offended by the fact that it's called Cremated. Personally, I think that that shouldn't be a shock. And number 2, I think that it's appropriate because I'm bored to death looking at it. Now, moving on to 3 products I actually am kind of tempted by. The first product is by Fenty Beauty, and it is the Slip Shine Sheer Shiny Lipsticks. Wow. Okay. So, I've definitely recently got into more of a sheer and light coverage type of look, and these lipsticks just look right up my alley, especially if they really are buildable. That way you can use them both in a light coverage setting and also a high coverage setting. And just all the shades, there are several shades that I would be dying to try out. The $22 price point has me like, but you might see it on this channel. We'll see. So this next product I'm about to mention, I've already decided I'm buying. So that is the Trader Joe's Watermelon Facial Mist, and I think I'm going to go ahead and throw in the Overnight Face Mask in that if I can happen to find it. I'm definitely interested in trying the Watermelon Face Mist because I really enjoy the Trader Joe's Facial Cleanser, not the tea tree one, but the other one. I found that it was really gentle on the skin while still cleansing everything off of the skin. It was a very reasonable price. I think it was like $6. And so this facial mist will definitely be reasonably priced, as well as the face mask. And honestly, I think that these products are probably dupes for the, what is it called? The Glow Recipe watermelon products. I'll put them up on the screen because I can't remember exactly what they're called right now. But I'm very interested in trying those. And honestly, the only thing keeping me from getting them right now is the fact that the Trader Joe's lines are just crazy due to social distancing. So the last product I want to mention is from the brand Xxx Revolution, which is yet another brand that is a sister brand of the Makeup Revolution conglomerate. This product is the Xxx Revolution Glow Skin Foundation. It is $18, which is kind of a lot for Makeup Revolution. I want to say that their Conceal and Define foundation was only like $12 or $13, but I believe that this Xxx Revolution line is supposed to be more of a pro foundation line, so I think that's why everything scales a little bit more expensive. They actually have a few products that kind of caught my attention, but that is definitely the one that caught my eye the most because it is supposed to be a full coverage glowy foundation, and I've learned, I think in the last year or so, that I just really prefer foundations with a little bit of dew, a little bit of glow to them, just because that gives the lifelike appearance to skin. Well, that wraps up my very first anti-haul and some temptations. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you like videos like this. I will certainly be happy to make more. I had a lot of fun doing this one. I hope you have a great day or night, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.
Yo. I have